How can you calm your nerves? Well, let's start from the very beginning. Why are people's nerves unsettled in the first place? How does this happen? The thing is, our nervous system works on a reflex principle. There is a stimulus, and in response to the stimulus, there is a reaction. It's reflexive, whether we want it or not. I'm a neurologist. I take a reflex hammer and tap it on the knee. Whether the person wants it or not, their leg jerks. That is, of course, if the nerve pathways are healthy. That's how our nervous system works. And a person's brain, as the source of the nervous system, since most nerve cells are located in the brain, is constantly being attacked by some kind of information. Information can come through the eyes. That's 90% of all the information we receive. Through the ears, that's 9% of the information we get. Through the other sense organs, it's 1%. That's the nose, smell, taste, the tongue, tactile sensitivity, and also interoceptors, which are sensations from internal organs that, by the way, can also cause pain. In addition, the nervous system is also bombarded by a huge number of nerve impulses that we do not feel or perceive because they come from the autonomic nervous system. These impulses are about the functioning of the heart, the lungs, the kidneys, the digestive system, and so on, about the state of the internal organs. And our brain is constantly attacked by such a large amount of information. For each of these incoming impulses, these incoming stimuli, a response is required. A response means that in the brain, in the nerve cells, a nerve impulse is generated and transmitted. But a nerve impulse travels along the nerve fiber by means of, this is going to get a bit complicated now, membrane depolarization. That is, the membrane of the cell, the membrane of the nerve fiber, has its own polarity, which ensures the separation of the outside and the inside. And when a nerve impulse travels along the nerve fiber, it does so as a process of depolarization, a change in the membrane's polarity. And it's like, if you stretch out a long shoelace and send a wave along it and the wave travels down the length. That's how a nerve impulse travels, by membrane depolarization along the nerve fiber. And the ability to conduct such a nerve impulse is determined by the energy resources of the nerve conductor's membrane. Just like how much gasoline or fuel is available. In cells, the fuel or gasoline is the ATP molecule. ATP, adenosine triphosphoric acid, it's like a little battery, a source of energy, and it enables everything in our body to function. Now look, when a lot of nerve impulses pass through the membrane, this a lot leads to the depletion of energy resources, and then the nerve conductors become less, how should I put it, less capable, less resourceful for conducting nerve impulses. The membrane in a person becomes less energetically charged in nerve cells, and the ability to conduct impulses weakens. The nerves become overstrained. There is an instant reaction to any stimuli, and the resting potential in nerve cells decreases. I know I explained it in a complicated way, but that's exactly how it happens. And that's why the nervous system becomes overstrained. And then there are strong emotional reactions, disturbances in the internal organs, disruptions in the brain, changes in the speed of brain function, heightened emotionality, and so on. This is the problem of overstrained nerves. How is this problem usually solved? Well, how is it solved in our medicine? With medication. But all the drugs intended to calm the nervous system only suppress the excitability of nerve cells, dampen their excitability, and slow down the activity of nerve cells. These are tranquilizers, from the French word for calm. Tranquilizers, or as we call them, sedatives, slow down the activity of the nervous system, preventing these impulses from forming and being transmitted. Tranquilizers are divided into drugs of plant origin. Herbs, as I call them, herbs. Well, these are various teas starting with valerian, and then there's lemon balm, passion flower, motherwort, and other hawthorns. So in any case, I consider all teas of this kind to be acceptable and even normal for our nervous system to help calm it down. Although they are not very effective, what do I like about them? The fact that they almost don't have any toxic effects. In other words, you can't really overdo it with them. You can't harm yourself with them. But at the same time, their therapeutic effect is quite moderate and limited. So you can do whatever you want with herbs, make all sorts of infusions, but it will still be rather ineffective. But as for the stronger medications like Gidazepam, Befren, various antidepressants, and the heavier ones, all sorts of tranquilizers, neuroleptics, now those are quite serious drugs. And the thing is, they really do, especially the benzodiazepines, by altering the state of tension in human nerve cells, in the human nervous system, they cause changes in excitability, and they really do provide a good, reliable, calming effect on the nervous system. But in our body, there is always a counter effect. That is, these medications calm the nervous system. But then when a person stops taking these medications, the body always reacts in response, and overstimulation occurs even stronger than before. That is, when the effect of these medications wears off, the excitability of the nervous system increases. And it seems that the initial effect we achieve disappears, and things get even worse. And this forces the person to keep taking all these medications. And over time, the nervous system gets used to their effects. And then the person no longer experiences any effect. They have to switch from one to another, then to a third, then back to the first again. And there's a constant shuffle with antidepressants. The person can't get off them and becomes dependent on them. And this is a very big problem. That's why I don't recommend calming the nervous system with serious medications or tranquilizers. It will be hard to get off them later, and it will be difficult to quit them. So what should you do instead? One of the good methods, and I'll teach you how to calm your nervous system, is to address the root cause of its disturbance. The root cause, first and foremost, lies in the irritants that enter our nervous system. Reduce the number of irritants, close your eyes, watch less, listen less. The rest of the irritants make up only about 1%. In other words, when our nervous system is overstrained, we need to stop the flow of information through our eyes and ears that causes this overstrain. Don't watch or see anything distressing. Leave the area where there are stimulating factors, and don't listen and don't react to anything. Sometimes, of course, it keeps churning inside your head, but over time it stops if nothing comes in through your eyes. That's why eliminating stressful information is important for a person. Second, the thing is, the problem with stress is that it's an energetic tension, and you need to calm the nerve cells specifically on the energetic level. Let me explain how this is done. What I'm showing you now is a product made from turmanium ceramic. And turmanium ceramic is a specific magnetic alloy, a composite material that has its own magnetic field, due to the fact that turmanium ceramic contains components of the magnetic stone tourmaline. Because of this, turmanium ceramic itself already has a magnetic field. Though it's gentle and mild and you won't see or feel its effect on our body doesn't have receptors that can sense a magnetic field. But the magnetic field does affect the delicate cellular structure. And when the magnetic field affects the human body, it properly energizes the membranes of nerve cells, calming the nerve cells. On a cellular level, the energy is balanced, and as a result, a person's nerves are calmed mechanically and physically due to the influence of the magnetic field. In the past, there were even devices, maybe some of the older generation remember them, called electrosleep. That is, by exposing a person to certain physical factors, they even managed to calm the nervous system to the point of inducing sleep. In other words, a person would fall asleep from this. Here, the effect is a bit different, and it doesn't happen as quickly, as strongly, or as intensely, but it does occur. And this problem is addressed by making products in the form of turmanium mats, on which a person needs to sleep all night. The temperature is set to a comfortable or near comfortable level. It doesn't need to be high. And for a person sleeping on a turmanium mat, after several hours of exposure, there is a good, strong, and effective calming of the nervous system. And I always observe this. I observe that people who sleep on turmanium mats experience a calming of the nervous system at the cellular level. And then the nerves become calm without tranquilizers, without antidepressants, without medication, and even without any herbs. Calming the nerves subsequently leads to the normalization of the functioning of the entire body as a whole. This is exactly the calming of the nerves that provides effective and good recovery for the nervous system, because an overstrained nervous system is definitely bad for a person. Therefore, nerves can be calmed by simpler and, most importantly, safer methods.